back. So I'm talking about purpose before we get into the awakening side of things. And there was one huge topic that I've only really just started investigating myself on this journey. So because I've found it's really quite important for me to reflect back on what was one of the hardest things for me. I think in the Western world and culture, and I always talk about culture, is you're in a rush. You're always in a rush, and I honestly, I've always asked myself, what's your hurry? Okay. The one thing about finding purpose is you will want to be in a rush to find it. Honestly, if you rush it, you won't find or highlight those topics that will take you down that new journey for you. So if you rush it, it's actually going to cause you more frustration. When we're frustrated, it actually blocks any other learning. Okay, so that's one thing that I've definitely learned, not only in my career, workplace, being frustrated. Because we're frustrated, we're unable to learn. So it's really important that we stop rushing. That's one thing of purpose that I've really learned the hard way. So if we rush it, I mean, nothing is really bad, but rushing actually puts a lot of pressure on yourself. And that's one thing that I've definitely learned the hard way. So rushing purpose isn't always the best option. One thing that I really like to say is that culture and the Western world and rushing your life is one of the biggest traps you could ever fall for. And that's one thing as a young girl growing up is definitely part of our world and our culture is rushing it. And I always say, what's your hurry? What's your hurry? A lot of people are in such a rush, it affects other people. And because we're, heightened on codependency in mainstream society, this becomes a huge, big topic. So rushing and trying to rush it isn't really worth it in the long run. You'll get exhausted. You'll be mentally tired, and that's one of the biggest topics that I can talk about, and that comes into my health, which I'll work on later on. Really, really important that rushing in purpose doesn't really work. If you're going to rush it anyway because we're programmed on rushing, just go with it. You'll find that it'll stop once you grow your awareness on rushing. What's your hurry? I think a lot of people do that, not only just with work like this, myself having a great, having it all figured out by the time I was 30, when really it's always evolving, it's always growing. You're always doing this type of work if you decide to do it. So it's one of those things that culture plays a huge part in finding purpose. Being in a rush for things isn't always the best when it comes to purpose because you may miss something really critical for you. So just really remember it can cause a lot of frustration too, which actually blocks us growing even more. So just really remember rushing isn't always necessarily the best thing for purpose work.